welcome to our general manager press conference for Morgan Tuck. I'm going to have her start with a quick statement and then we will take questions. Go ahead, Morgan.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for jumping on. Just first want to start by saying I'm super excited. Obviously, it's been kind of a week and a lot going on, a lot in the W, a lot with our team. And I'm just really excited to kind of get started. It's a big step, but one that I feel prepared for, I feel supported with. And obviously, I'm just looking forward to kind of get going so that we can put together a team and get to a point we can get that first championship. So just really excited. And thanks again for you guys jumping on.
We're going to take questions. Please use the raise hand function. Annie, go ahead.
Hey, Morgan. I'm curious about kind of the timeline and when you felt like, or when you talked with the Sun about moving into this position and how Darius will be assisting you through kind of the early stages of it.
Yeah, it's not an exact timeline, I'd say. It's been in the works for a little. It's, I think some people ask like, oh, did I like just find out when it was announced? And it's like, no, it's been in the works a little bit before that. But, I think when I came into the role as assistant GM, something that we spoke about was kind of my development and trying to make sure that I was learning from someone really, really good that had some experience, that knew what they were doing, so that I could get ready for the role at some point. There wasn't necessarily a timeline on it. And then I first have to give Darius a ton of credit. He's been an amazing person to work for and a really great boss, and has always been, very open to helping me learn any questions, anything I needed, involving me as much as he could. So just making sure that he was giving me as much as possible to help prepare me for the next step. And then going forward, he's always a resource, and he's going to still be a very important, integral piece of the Connecticut Sun. It'll change a little bit, but I will always value his opinion, his thoughts, his input. And I think all of us here at the Sun know that he brings a lot of value. And so we're really glad that we get to keep him with us.
Thanks, Morgan.
Maggie?
Hey, Morgan, good to see you. I don't know why it's echoing, maybe it's just me, but how you can use your experience as a player in this league, as a GM, and having a little bit of control of this team in this way?
Do you mind saying that one more time? Sorry. It was a little echoey at the beginning, but then it cleared up.
Okay. How are you going to use your experience being a player in this league? Whether I know your career wasn't super long as a player, but how are you going to use that as helping you in this new role?
Yeah, I think that's really all I can do. That's obviously my background and it's what I know. So I think, you just come from a player's perspective. Now, I think you can't only come from a player's perspective, right? I think you use it. It definitely helps with relationships and kind of understanding what the modern player needs and wants. I know my career wasn't too long, but I'm not too far removed from being on the court. So I think that will definitely help. But I think my time on the other side in the front office is definitely going to help me a little bit more too.
Thank you.
Emily?
Hey, Morgan. You guys announced your coaching hire yesterday. Also, obviously, just how involved were you in the process of hiring Rashid? What have early conversations between you guys looked like about just kind of how this partnership is going to work?
Yeah, it was definitely a collaborative effort. Like I said, I have a great support system here, and I have great people. Obviously, I talked about Darius, but also our president, Jen Rosati. And I think we take the approach of, the more you collaborate and have different minds and perspectives, I think that helps you come to a better decision. So I think for us, it was just finding the right fit, right? Finding someone that, we feel like can take our team and help us get to the next level, but also someone that can grow with our team. So I think Rashid really fit that. And, kind of like any hiring process, right? You get to know someone, you get to try to understand them a little bit as much as you can through a hiring process. And kind of when we did our due diligence and, talk to other people and hear really, really good things, we felt like we had enough to make the best decision for us.
Doug?
Hey, Morgan, congrats on the new gig.
Thank you.
Obviously, you don't have much time to sort of jump into this role because you have a lot of choices down the road with free agency starting in about a month. How important is it to have a coach in place now so you two to figure out what you're going to want to make this team look like for the future with free agency, as I said, about 6 weeks away or so?
Yeah, it's really important. I think you want to make decisions that your coach is comfortable with and that they give their input toward. They're the ones that are going to be coaching the players. They make the decisions on the court. So I think you have to have a lot of synergy. You don't always have to agree 100%, but I think you have to kind of be on the same page of what you're looking for, what you want. And so it's really good. And it's kind of a relief when you get your coach in place, and now you can kind of get to, the meat of the work that's coming up. But I think it's really important, and glad that we have him on board.
Dom?
Good afternoon, Morgan. Thank you for this and congratulations. I just wanted to ask you, what do you feel like this coaching hire will bring to the franchise that's kind of different and new and maybe out of the box? I mean, with his international experience, I imagine he knows a lot of players, not only American players playing over there or overseas players that maybe would be attracted to come and play for him. What do you think he would bring in terms of mixing that European experience with the W?
Yeah, I think the main thing is just a different perspective. I think, as you mentioned, some of the things that you said, right? He's a little bit of a different hire, and a different coach. And I think when you bring in different perspective, different background, I think that's always a benefit. And I think it's also a tough spot, right? Our team has been really good. It's not a situation where, we feel like, all right, it's time to start over and we have to just totally do things different. So I think he'll be different. He'll bring some different aspects, but I think at the same time, the goal is to keep us being really successful. So I think his different perspective, his background, the international play, you always want to have someone that, does understand the game, not just here, but internationally as well. So I feel like we've been able to get that, and we're just excited to kind of see how it all meshes together.
Howard?
Morgan, congratulations. If I'd sneak in two, I've got one sort of for now and one sort of bigger picture. The one for now is just in terms of coaching hire and the way you sort of think about this upcoming free agency. I know you have quite a few free agents, with AT, with Dewana, with Bree Jones. Wondering whether you had those conversations, if so, with which players about the coaching gig.
So I won't say specifics, but we try to make sure that we have a good balance of keeping people informed. We understand that, and to think about even the players you mentioned, right? It's a whole team of players that are going to have a new coach. Obviously, there's sometimes a lot of uncertainty around change. And so I think a lot of it is just reassuring that change isn't always a bad thing, right? It's a little uneasy. It makes us all a little nervous, but we understand that's just a part of the business and a part of being on a team. Luckily, we have very resilient players, right? We have players that have played many different teams all over the world. So it's something that, we just try to reassure them, understand that, just trust us, we're making the right decisions. But we always appreciate our players giving us feedback and, want to make sure that not just them, but our whole organization feels good about it.
And just bigger picture, I'm wondering, what does success look like? When you define what you want your tenure to look like, what does it look like to you?
I mean, I'm always like, maybe because it's my UConn at heart, right? Winning championships is always success in my book. I think that's something that we always have to aspire to reach. Now, I think there's other, levels of success that's not necessarily always winning championships. So I would say that's not on the court, right? We want to win championships, but I think for myself, looking at success, you want to leave a really positive impact and a legacy where you've impacted the people around you, whether that's our players, whether that's people in the office, and just basketball in general. So for me, it's really just kind of how I go about things and just making sure that no matter what's happening on the court, no matter what's going on, I leave that positive impact anywhere I go.
Thanks, Morgan. Appreciate
you. Anthony?
Morgan, I want to kind of get an idea of sort of the machinations that go on behind the scenes that identified Rasheed as a prime candidate. Just kind of take us behind the curtain a little bit on how you guys identified him as a sort of maybe a number one candidate.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of pieces, and I think the biggest piece is you just do your due diligence, right? And you try to understand who they are, obviously as a coach, right? That's what the job is, but also as a person. And then, you talk with other people and you kind of see what's the feedback. How is he, in different situations? I think we've all seen him coach, right? Especially with the Belgium national team, in EuroLeague. So I think we get a good feel. But a lot of it is just, you have to do your research, right? You have to make sure that you get enough information to make an informed decision. So for us, that's kind of how we approached it. And then kind of as we meet and we talk, we talk about the different opportunities, different options, kind of what we're looking for. And I think with all of that, we felt like we met the right fit going with Rasheed.
Dijon Barret?
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay, two questions. What trends do you see emerging in the WNBA and how is the Sun adapting to it? And then the second question was, what do you think is the next step for this team to build a championship caliber roster? And congratulations.
Thank you. I would say trends. I mean, I think that can be very wide on the type of trends that are happening. I'll say in general, I think there's obviously this trend of growth, right? And attention and expansion on what people are doing in the WNBA. And so I think for us, that's something that we're working on as well, right? There's a lot of change that's happening, a lot of things that are kind of up in the air. So I'd say not bad uncertainty, but just that things are different, right? Things are going in a different direction that in the last couple of years, it's been kind of intensified a little bit, even from when I was playing. I feel like there's a totally different feel around the league, which is exciting, but can also be a little nerve-wracking at the same time. So I think we're always trying to find ways to, stay ahead of the curve and make sure that we're, doing the things that's going to help us be really successful. And then I would say for a championship team, I mean, I think we need I don't know if I can say one specific thing. Like I said, we've been a really successful team, right, to get to the semifinals the last 6 years. We've obviously figured out how to be a really good team and consistently a good team, which is a really great achievement. So I think it's just making those tweaks to get over the hump, right? Finding the ways that, we can get there, but how do we get over the hump? How do we find a way to, push through maybe where we've gotten to? So I think it's going to take a few different things, if that's front office, on the court, just kind of a collective effort to make sure that we're doing the right things to make those little tweaks to get us there.
Madeline?
Hi, I have two questions, but I'll just start with the first one, if you don't mind. Going back a month, just what was your reaction to Stephanie White leaving for the Indiana job? Because she was, under contract and stuff with you guys, and I'm sure you didn't foresee that happening.
Well, yeah, I think you never want to see someone that's great go, so I think all of us were disappointed, but you understand that's the business sometimes, so it's something that, and Jen Rosati, our president, talked about this at the time too. It's something when it works for someone and it works for their family, I think it is what it is, and you hope for the best for them. But yeah, stuff was great. I think we enjoyed it the last 2 years. I think obviously she kept us in a really good spot with our team. So, we just have to make sure we beat her when we play Indiana.
There you go. And then just being on the doorstep all these years of going to a finals and stuff, you mentioned it, getting over the hump. Just what do you think has been missing, and what is going to get you guys to propel yourself into position?
Yeah, I think like I said, it's difficult for me to say one specific thing. I think when you look at championship teams and you look at teams that, win championships and get there to the finals, it's a very, very small margin, right? It's little things, and it's not like we're missing it by a long shot. So I can't say that, we haven't had the pieces to be able to win in the past. I mean, I was on the team playing in 2019 in game 5 of the finals, and we were right there, right? I felt like we had all we needed. So I think sometimes it's not those one or two things, but I think it's a collective effort, right? And it can be a range from, spacing the floor, outside shooting, to making sure that we set the right screens, to making sure that maybe we have to prep a little bit different, right? So it can be a whole kind of category of things that could lead to getting over the hump. But I do feel like it's just a couple little tweaks away, and I think we can get there.
Thank you.
Maggie?
I know one of the priorities in hiring this new coach was whoever was going to be that they make Connecticut, their full year-round home. Do you still see that with Rashid, even though he is living in France? And if that's something you still expect, when do you expect him to kind of move into Connecticut and get settled?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a focus that we had, and that hasn't changed. I think our focus has stayed the same. I can't say specifically when he's going to come or not. You just kind of have to wait and see, right? It gives you guys something to look forward to. But yeah, that's definitely a focus that we kept throughout the process.
Okay. And then a quick follow-up, just going back to your new role. What does it just mean to you to be now a GM? And was that something that you've always kind of thought, oh, this job looks interesting to me, or just what is it like now to have this role?
Yeah, it's a really cool experience, and it's a little bit surreal. I think when I was young, I really, for some reason, really liked Pat Riley when he was with the Heat and he was their GM. I didn't know what a GM did. It was something about Pat Riley that I just thought was so cool. And so I was like, oh, a GM can be cool one day. And I was young and didn't think it would happen, but to be in it now, it's a cool experience. I think it's obviously like a couple days old, right? So it's not like I'm seasoned into the role yet, but I'm just excited to for a new opportunity and to really learn and kind of grow in a different way. So it's a great opportunity. And, I'm just thankful that it was provided to me and that I have people that believe in me to do it.
Thank you.
Julian?
Hi, and congratulations.
Thank you.
I was just going to ask, obviously you said you had already a lot of support around you, but just knowing all the things that you had to kind of manage jumping into this new role, whether it's a coaching change, expansion draft, which obviously there should be a part of, and free agency, how did you kind of ready yourself for all the things that would be on your plate as soon as you hop into a job like this?
I think the biggest thing is you lean on the people around you, right? That's why I brought up the support. The one good thing is I know I'm listed as GM, but I'm not doing GM by myself, right? I have people that are helping me and that make sure that I have what I need and that have helped prepare me for it. So I think it's a process, and some of those things, like, you just kind of, you're never fully ready for it until you're in it. But I do think that I've had the people that have poured into me enough to make sure that I am ready for it, and that when I do take this step, it's not like, okay, now Morgan, all this is on you. It's all, you have to do it by yourself, So I feel like that's been very helpful to me, that, I have a team, right? We're an organization that really collaborates as a team and works well together. So I think that's been kind of my saving grace, and not feeling too overwhelmed and feeling like there's so much on my plate. But I have people that are more than willing to help me, which is a great thing.
And also, now that you're in the role, is there a difference between the job you thought Pat Riley had and the one you have now?
I mean, 2 days in, I don't know if I can say I see too many differences yet. I mean, I don't know. I'll have to answer that again in the future.
Cool.
Anthony?
Yeah, I had a question that's more of really a business question. I know that the team will be playing again in Boston. Can you explain what you see Boston doing for the team, and do you ever see the team playing some games in the XL Center to help develop the market further here?
Yeah, I think this was, I think, a couple years ago now, and the business side kind of did a market research to see where some of our fans were coming from. And we actually had a good amount from the Boston area. So I think for us, it's, when I kind of mentioned before, the trend of like growth, right, and expansion in the league. And it's, we're the only women's professional basketball team in New England. So it's kind of like, it's a good way for us to hit some of our other New England fans that don't live in Connecticut, or maybe aren't as close, or a little bit more north, where Boston is an easier way to get there. And Boston's a sports town. So I think it's just something that's a little bit different. It brought it, at least last year, brought a little bit of excitement, doing something different. I can't say if I'll ever play in XL Center or not. That's definitely, that decision's above my pay grade, and I don't make those. But I do think, especially with UConn doing that, playing at both places, but I think Boston has been a really cool spot. And I think it brought a lot of excitement, not just to the fans, but even in the office. It was a big task to tackle, but we did a good job, and we're excited to do it again.
Chloe?
Thank you.
Yeah, kind of on that note about that Boston game, you'll be playing Indiana and seeing Stephanie White. And so was it kind of a priority to get, that team and Caitlin Clark and all of that into that Boston game?
I will be very honest. I didn't have nothing to do with who we play. I will say last year we played the Sparks and still had a sellout, and it was a great environment. So sometimes I think it's just how the schedule kind of ends out. But I think it's, no matter honestly who we play, I think it's going to be really exciting. It's something that's different. It's something that doesn't happen a lot. So I think for us, I don't think it matters who we play. Again, we just want to win. And yeah, like I said, we got to beat Indiana, right? That's just how it goes. So if we got to do it in Boston, that's fine.